What is up? What is up, everybody? Welcome to Elevate Your Game with Pastor Brian Hall. Hey, Sean Dill here. Let's get your friends in on the transmission. Oh, I gotta take this thing off. Hey, I was giving blood this morning. Got a cool little badge. I see Brian's in the house. Let's get Brian in here. Welcome, everybody. Hey, today we're going to be talking about staying out of the woods. Pastor Brian has an awesome message for us. And there he is. And he cut my
Was
face off.
oh man, that
Man,
does.
what
Hey, who
am I going to
day?
do?
Who day? Who day?
Look at you and your Saints. Congratulations to the Saints, Joe Burrow.
It's a good game, man. They played
That
good.
was a good game. Let me see if I can get this situated. There we
Look
go. All
at
right.
you, bud. You just got an IV.
Now I'm doing a blood test here at Well Infused. Super excited. Yesterday was day one, Well Infused Naples. We've got all kinds of people pouring in. We do IVs, really important at Well Infused. They're custom IVs, so you have to do a blood test first. So we do a blood draw, figure out what your nutritional deficiencies are that are affecting you. And then we mix our IV bags right here in-house, custom made for every person, and get those nutrients direct into your bloodstream. We've found that we could be a little more efficient and effective than having to take all those pills.
Yeah.
We could do it faster, quicker, get better results. You go to these IV places, and it's like McDonald's.
Oh
There's
yeah.
like a menu. You're like, I want the hangover.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, we could do that here, but what we're doing is beyond that. Super excited, and congratulations to Nate and Stacy Bloomy. They
Mm-hmm.
are our partners in this venture. And now that we have Naples location open, we're going to be moving next into the rollout of the franchise. We've got over 75 people waiting, wanting to open a Well Infused near them. And I'm positive once this Naples location opens up, everybody that comes from the north comes to Naples,
Oh yeah.
and then they're going to see everything that's cool that's going on here. And they're all going to be like, hey, we need one of these back where I live in the summertime. And so that's
Right.
one of our strategies too. That'll get it out all over the
Hey,
place.
dude.
What
I
about,
mean, and what for you, brother? Like you, I just got back. And I know you just got back, and dude, you crushed it. You crushed it.
well, thank
Like
you.
I go to conferences all the time, Sean, just like you do, and masterminds. And I'm telling you, bro, like if anyone watches this and you don't flip and sign up for BDC, I'm just like I don't even know what to say to you. Like seriously, get in the room. Get in the room.
Well, hey,
I mean,
we have,
I've already signed up for March, bro, in Dallas.
I love it. We have a free challenge. Maybe some people are like, hey, Brian, I'm not trying to give that full money right away. We have a free challenge that's about to launch next week. All you have to do is go to www.bookyourselfsolidchallenge.com, and you'll get to spend 5 full days with me and Lacey and the Book Yourself Solid crew, which is sort of the sister to Black Diamond Club. But that's a way that you can kind of feel out and see if we resonate, if this is
Yeah.
something that you want to do. Go to bookyourselfsolidchallenge.com. And hey, yeah, it was great to
Yeah,
see you
man.
in Dallas. It was super awesome to be able to spend some time with you. We had LaShawn Merritt
Yeah.
there. Michael Johnson dropped
Yeah.
by. Oh, speaking of that, tomorrow I am off to New York City, UFC 295 with our great friend Michael Chandler.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait to meet up with him and hear about all the cool things that he has going on. So I don't know. I called Michael and I asked him, I was like, Michael, I have some connects over there at MSG. I could get us some pretty sweet seats, but I don't know, like, are you, as a roster fighter, are you allowed to sit with us commoners? And he was like, yeah, I could do that. And I was like, well, do you want to go? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So I
Nice.
don't know. It's going to be interesting. We have really good seats. It's in what's known as the Madison Club.
Nice.
But let's see if the cameras find old Michael and Bree in the
Oh,
audience.
you know,
If they do, then I'll be sitting there next
heck
to
yeah,
them, and then you guys
dude.
blow me up on social media.
Heck yeah, dude. Favor ain't easy, my friend. Favor ain't easy. That's good. No, I'm super, man. I learned so much at the conference. You know, you get so much wisdom, you know, at these conferences. And then, you know, I like to tell people, you know, the one thing that people will say, like, "Hey, Brian, what did you pack?" You know, like what, you know, when I don't care if it's a 1-day trip, a 2-week trip. Like I literally, dude, I'll pack a 70-pound bag, and like I'll have 12 pairs of shoes and different outfits. And I learned way back, like you want anywhere you go. Maybe someone will grab this piece and that's all they need today. But stand out in a room.
Ooh.
Just stand out in a room. And you know, from when we went to Indianapolis, man, I had this crazy polka dot suit on, and everyone was coming up to me. I stood out. I'm the brightest colored person in the room, and people will come and talk to you, and people will speak to you. So always stand out in the room. Also, Sean, like a lot of people may say, "Well, Brian, this is crazy. I don't know why you do this," but I'll tell you why I do this. Is I always fly first class. Always. I don't care where I'm going. I fly first class. I don't care if it's a 1-hour trip, fly first class. And the reason is not because I can go get a drink and get a steak and put my headset on and watch an awesome movie. The point of it is I want to talk to the person beside me. And guess what? On 3 flights, I talked to the CEO of JTM. I talked to the COO of St. Elizabeth Hospital. And then on the third, on my flight home first class, I sat by the guy that runs T-Mobile. Guess what? I got all 3 of their numbers. Stand out in the room. If people would just, it paid for the whole thing just by standing out in the room and by sitting first class and actually starting a conversation with people. But I know that resonates with you, Sean, because I know you do it.
Well, we also say what stands out gets remembered, right?
Right.
So if you stand out in the room, then you get remembered. And I think, you know, look, this doesn't apply just to what you wear. This is everything, your branding, you know, colors, everything that you do, what stands out gets remembered. You know, and listen, I think that's a great lesson for today as we go through. Think about, hey, everything I do, you could stand out because you're excellent, right? Because of excellence, and that gets remembered. You could stand out because it's of poor quality. That also gets remembered. So all through today, you're thinking to yourself, man, how am I standing out? You know, everything, you can stand out because of great behavior. You can stand out because of poor behavior. You could stand out because of kindness, and you could stand out because of rudeness. But what stands out gets remembered. It's just that middle ground. Our minds just start to take that away, whether it's what you, like, listen, we also don't have to be wearing like neon pink, although I'm down for that. You know that. You've seen some of the stuff I wear.
That's
but
right.
if I just wore black from head to toe every day, that's all I did, over time, you see that stands out. And that becomes, right, so if I was going to do all black head to toe, I would just have to do it longer, right?
That's
so
right.
if I did it longer, then it would stand out, and then it would get remembered.
Right. That's right.
Okay, Coach Kyle Draper, he's a former pastor.
That's right.
Jumping in here. This is good. We're building a great community. Hey, guys, make sure that you tell all of your friends that every Tuesday, Pastor Brian sets aside time in his life to come and share with us the wisdom and guidance that has been divinely dropped into his mind, into his lap. He shares it with us, and he breaks down kind of what he thinks. And then I give you the Bobo head Sean Dill take on it of what I think. And then hopefully we just take all of these what men think about things and we apply them for the good over the course of the week. This week you want to talk about staying out of the woods. And this is interesting. I was like, what does that mean? Because I'm down for staying out of the woods. If you guys know me, we host a retreat called Bourbon Nights where we go off into a ranch. It's a beautiful ranch in Oklahoma, in Wynnewood, Oklahoma. And we have a great time. I'm down for all of the fun, and I'm definitely down for sharing some interesting bottles of bourbon and fellowshipping and networking with the men that come along on the trip. but I don't like getting dirty. That's my least favorite part.
No.
That's actually, we go hog hunting, and I never shoot a hog. And everybody says, Sean, like, are you opposed to killing an animal? I said, well, no, that's not it. Here's the problem, Brian, because the hogs are far away.
Right.
And so you shoot the hog off of the side-by-side,
Yeah.
and then hopefully you're a good enough shot, boom, it drops. But then you got to walk all the way over, might be a couple 100 yards, and then you got to pull that dirty hog across the ground to get it back. And I said, I'm not opposed to shooting it. I'm opposed to going and getting it.
Right.
So when you said stay out of the woods, I was like, this is for me. Because I don't like to go into the woods, but I have a feeling that your message is maybe a little bit different than my take on it.
No, I love it. I love that too. I love that you hunt. That's really cool because I'll take you hunting. That'll be so much fun. And I'll have to come to the next one. I know Grant's been telling me all about it. I would love it. And that is, we would definitely be in the woods there. So I you know, my thing is, you know, so this story today. So like if anybody wants to like just dive into this story, obviously I can't go that deep today because we only have a little bit, but read 2 Samuel chapters 15, 16, 17, and 18. It is the whole story about this. And you can dive into it. It'll take you about 30 minutes, you know, a setting. But it's really cool about this story is we're going to kind of hit two things today, two things that I think that everyone needs to grasp. And so you have King David, and King David is the king. And so he's in the palace. He has a son, and he has, just so you know, he has 19 sons. Now, I know you make fun of me all the time. This homeboy has 19 sons, okay? But you got to remember, back in the day, they had like 200 wives and like 600 concubines. I mean, Sean, what the crap could we do with that many? I mean, is this just, I can't even, my own wife I can't handle. I don't know what I would do with 900 women in my life. That would be crazy to me. But King David did it. He was a baller.
Hey, Brian,
and so, you know.
Well, real quick, I think this is something that is important, and I think that sometimes people are afraid to ask. I'm going to ask it myself. Is this the same David who slingshotted Goliath?
Yes.
Goes on to become
the king.
Now he's the king.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he is, great question. That's really good. So he, you know, and so this is the David that was, you know, shoveling sheep crap to finally becoming a king. And so there's a lot in that. That's great. That's actually a great message that we could get into another time as well, of how we can be at this place and get to this place. But so King David, he's the king. He has 19 sons. Now, one of his sons, obviously we all know Solomon, King Solomon. He was the next great. He built the temple. He's just the most wisest man on the planet that will ever live. But he has this son called Absalom. And I know we've talked a little bit about this, Sean, but I felt like it was necessary to talk today. So there's two things we're going to talk about. The first is Absalom. Now, Absalom, this dude would be like the celebrity of the celebrity today. I mean, literally, I got it written down here. The Bible describes Absalom as a very attractive man. In 2 Samuel 14 through 25, it says, "In all Israel, there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the top of his head to the soles of his feet, there was no blemish in him." I mean, this dude was legit. So he would be like I don't know who, I guess in my
David Beckham of today.
David Beckham of today. Yeah, so he's that guy. So Absalom, he and his dad loves Absalom. I mean, he is one of those people, okay? And one of his closest to his heart, I would say, besides Solomon. And so Absalom is jealous of his father. He's jealous of his kingship. And so Absalom, what he does is he literally sits at the front of the castle to win the hearts of the people. And so back in the old days, when people had problems, they would go to the king to solve their problems, and they would go on their way. So what did Absalom do? He stood out in front of the castle to win their hearts. And so ultimately what happens is Absalom dethrones King David and takes
his dad.
Palace. Yeah, his dad.
His dad.
Right.
Okay.
And so then he gets into the palace, and homeboy is still not satisfied.
Where's his 18 brothers, by the way? How come the 18 brothers aren't beating up Absalom?
Exactly. Well, he runs them all out. He's won
Wow.
Israel. He's won the army. He's won the people. And so he comes in and it's not just enough to run him out of his kingship. He sleeps with his concubines. Okay, that's like a slap in the face, right? He sleeps with his concubines. And then he says, I'm going to kill my dad. So then Absalom, it's not just enough to be king. He wants to kill his dad. So here's the first point. Every ministry, every business, every work that I've ever done in my life, I don't want to get anyone paranoid here, but always look for your Absalom. Always look for your Absalom. Your Absalom that's sitting at the front of your castle to win the hearts of the people. And this Absalom for me was when I built the Dream Center. I had the Dream Center. It was huge. It was big. And the thing, and we were doing great things. And here's the thing is I was traveling and I was constantly busy and I was constantly growing this thing that I didn't look on the inside. I wasn't connected to my staff. I wasn't connected to my people. I wasn't connected. And so what I found is there was an Absalom in my camp. And when I found out, it was already too late. I was already fleeing. And he had already stole half of everything that I ever built. He won their hearts and he ran with them. And I lost half of everything. And I've noticed in my life that the devil always raises up an Absalom. And so always, I don't want to freak people out. Just notice, just try to figure out like who these people are and either keep them extremely close or get rid of them immediately. Those are just those people. And so I'm always looking for those Absaloms. That's number one. Number two, David's on the run. Okay. And he takes off. He's got Joab, his general. He's got all these amazing men that have followed him throughout his whole time, all his years. Okay. They didn't leave him. They were with him. And they end up on this battlefield. And Absalom and the army of Israel come and they end up on this battlefield and they're getting ready to fight. And as they start to fight, the Lord is with, obviously, King David. And so Absalom and his army go and they flee into the woods. Okay. And so now, here's the kicker is they run into the woods, and the Bible says that the woods devoured Absalom and his army more than the sword. And so scholars tell us that the woods were quicksand and these crazy thorns and like it just devoured the army. And so now Absalom on his little beautiful horse, looking all beautiful with his beautiful hair. I mean, Absalom, dude, again, his hair, it said that this dude cut his hair every year, would cut his hair, and it was so heavy and thick that on royal standards, when he would cut his hair every year, it would weigh over 200 pounds of shekels. That's how much his heavy hair. I mean, this was thick stuff. Okay. So he's flowing on this horse, flowing through the woods. And the Bible says that this oak tree with these branches hanging low, grab his hair, and his hair tangles up on the oak tree branches, and the horse keeps going. And then Absalom is sitting there dangling. Joab, David's general, comes up, takes 3 javelins, 3 darts, throws them at him. One hits him in the heart. Absalom is dead. Now, why in the crap did I tell this story? The story is this, okay? God intended for us to fight our battles on the battlefield and not go into the woods. The woods is extremely enticing. Let's bring this back down to this earthly, fleshy world. The woods are extremely enticing. The woods are the things that the devil tries to pull us in. I actually wrote down several tactics that Satan uses that would be the woods. Number one is deception. The devil is referred to as the father of lies, John 8:44. He uses deceit to distort the truth and mislead people. Number two, temptation. Satan tempts people to sin, as seen when he tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden and Jesus in the wilderness. Accusation. The devil is known as the accuser of brothers and sisters, Revelations. So he tempts to make us feel guilty, unworthy, and separated from God. Doubt. Satan tries to sow seeds of doubt about God's love, goodness, and faithfulness. And this can be seen in the conversation of Eve in the garden, Eve in Genesis. And then two more. Fear. The devil uses fear to paralyze us and keep us from trusting God in God's protection. Division. Satan seeks to cause division among believers, even within the churches, disrupting unity and fellowship. So here's the thing, is the devil wants us to come into the woods. God wants us to stay on the battlefield, because here's the thing, when we go through struggles, when we go through trials, when we go through tribulations, when whatever we go through, God's saying, if you will stay on the battlefield, I will fight for you. I will walk with you into the battle. But as soon as you go into the woods, the devil's got you. And here's the thing. So once we get in the woods, we go deeper into the woods. I mean, it's just like, hey, I'm going to have one drink. You have 16. Hey, I'm going to do this. And then you do this, and it gets deeper. Or you know what I'm saying? You follow me, Sean? It's like we continue once we get in the woods, the fleshy world, the craziness of this world, we always go deeper in the woods. But here's the thing. Once you get so deep into the woods, the devil will take your head. He will wrap your hair up, and then he will have your mind. He will have your mindset. And then you're dangling from this tree, from this oak tree, and then the devil hits you with a dart in your heart, and he's got you. He's beat you. The devil ultimately wants to get in your head. He wants to take your mindset. And the thing is there's some people today that they're tiptoeing on the woods. They're tiptoeing. There's some people saying, well, maybe I should do this. This looks really intriguing. This looks really nice. This is, maybe I should go into the woods. And the problem is they get so deep into the woods, and if there's no one there to help them pull them out of the woods. I feel like that's what I do with coaching and advising half the time, Sean, is I'm trying to pull people back out of the woods and get them back on the battlefield. Because if you get too far into the woods and he takes your mind, it's over.
What I find interesting about this is, the two prongs of the story. I don't want to minimize be on the lookout for the Absaloms in your life. That's super important. I think that a great lesson, there's always going to be somebody standing by, the castle gates, your castle gates, that's attempting to win over the hearts. Listen, this recently happened to me not so long ago, where the guy at the castle gates, now I don't know that I would put him in the category of Absalom, David Beckham category, but he still won over the hearts of many of the people that I worked with. And then, yes, there was an effort to overthrow and a separation. And then that individual was able to take a lot of the community that we had built. Not a lot, that also is not accurate, but take some of the community that we had built, which did cause us a degree of temporary financial loss. Yeah. But I do also then agree the battlefield part. And I know that you got the opportunity to meet Stephen Lovegrove. Yeah. He does a lot of work with Lacey, and he also was very interesting because, and this makes a lot of sense now. I want to see if I can kind of add some of this, but he was like, look, there's sort of like two parts to this. One, it is easy for us to, in that situation, like you talked about the Dream Center, to say, okay, so I'm gonna stick and fight for my Dream Center. I'm just going to stick and fight. But then, Stephen was saying, listen, that's kind of like what's going on with this war in Israel, right? Like, we're just fighting over this little teeny piece when the whole rest of the world exists, and you're blind to everything else that is being opened up. And I think in your case, same thing, right? Like, listen, you can stick and fight over this tiny little piece, the Dream Center, but you're going to miss all of the rest that, is waiting for you, and the impact that you can make on an international level through your current project with coaching entrepreneurs, influencers, CEOs, and heads of state, etc. So it's an ability to see the bigger picture also helps us resolve the Absalom. But here's the second piece. Here's what I took away. When you said Absalom and the army ran for the woods, what I thought, what happened to me is I was like, oh, because they were they were running looking for safety. They were running looking for cover. And I think this is interesting because then you brought up, because I was like, well, that's interesting. And then you brought up like, well, one drink turns into 16 drinks. I wonder how many people are running to the woods, running to alcohol, running to their addictions, looking for cover. But the very thing that they thought was going to be their cover, you said the woods, what do you say? It devoured them. Is that what you said? It devoured them. And so this is interesting because sometimes we run for cover and then the cover devours you. The very thing. You were like,
you better preach,
such a
Sean.
stressful
You
day.
better preach, Sean.
I'm gonna have one drink at the end of the day. And then, every day I have a drink, and then every day I have 2 drinks, and then 5 drinks, and then now I wake up in the morning, and the very thing that you thought was the cover actually ends up devouring you. I thought that was interesting. And poor Absalom, he thought that he was being wise, he was being intelligent, he was going to suck David in. And then I love that point. David was like, no, I'm going to stay out here, which has no cover, but what you were saying, but it had God. So he was like, it has no cover, but here's where my protection lives. I'm going to stay on the battlefield. I think that's a great lesson because, man, it is human for us to run for cover, right? That's what we do, right? When you're in danger, you run for cover. And then I'm thinking back to my hog hunting in Oklahoma. Well, when they hear that gun go off, the hogs run for cover. That's what they do.
That's right.
What a great message. Listen, sometimes that's a mistake, especially if what we think is cover is not really cover. So I gotta ask you this question because I can't leave everybody with a cliffhanger. Great story today, great lessons today, but how can we better use discernment? Because it's our instinct to run for cover. Do you have any guidance or wisdom on how we might be able to know what are some of the things that look like they're protecting us, but actually might, in the end, just like the apple, and you said the Garden of Eden, it didn't look like it was that big of a deal. And maybe if you were hungry and you were like, why can't I eat that? That looks like cover as well. How can I know what is cover and what's not?
It's funny. So I love hunting. I love that you were talking about hunting. And the thing is like, so I hunt up in Owington, Kentucky, and it's this great hunting, huge deer. And I'll never forget. So like the property is up against the state property, okay? The state park property. And all the deer, the big bucks, they sleep on the state park property. So I put my deer stand on our side of the property, and deer in like very soon here, probably within next month, actually, I'll be up in that deer stand. It'll be snow, it'll be winter. And so I'll take the rut call and I'll start crushing on this rut call and slowly but surely.
Okay. Well, hang on. What the heck is a rut call?
So like in rut, like they're wanting some booty. They're wanting some booty, Sean. Okay. So it's a rut call. So I'm acting like a doe in rut.
And you're like making a noise.
Making a noise. And the big buck's like, hey, it's about to go down. And, So I start crushing this call, and the big bucks, they come running. And they jump the fence, and they come over, and I pull back my bow, hit them with an arrow, and they're dead. This is exactly what the devil does to us. Hey, check this out. He hits the call. Hey, get over here. Maybe it's pornography. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's whatever. I mean, it could be whatever the devil wants to use in your life. He'll hit these calls. And you'll get closer and you'll tiptoe in. You're like, oh, just like that deer, like really. And you'll get a little closer, and then he hits you. And then and then you're in the woods. And I think the discernment part of it is we just go back to this again, Sean, of are we pursuing God? Are we pursuing him? That's what I keep coming back to. Like, so with so many of the people that I work with, Sean, I get the question a lot. And I always ask them, are you actually pursuing God? Because God's pursuing you. But like, really, if you really, really think about it, because I know, Sean, you live by your schedule. I live by my schedule. A lot of people, like Sean, because you're so smart when it comes to money, you could probably look at my bank account and you would know if I'm blessed. You would know how I'm functioning, how I'm flowing. But it's the same way if I looked at your calendar or anyone else's calendar and there was nothing, not even spoken of, anything about Jesus in your calendar, I would know where you are spiritually. And it's the same way. And so, like, for me, like, in my calendar are the things that I do with the Father, with my relationship with him. And so it all comes back not to religion, because guess what? Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, war, everything is based on religion. All of it, all these battles, religion. It all comes back to religion. This is not religion. This is relationship. And so when I try to tell people, like, how do you discern this stuff? Like, you pray for discernment. You pray that God gives you discernment. And you as you're building this intimacy and this relationship with him, you learn from other people. Like, I went to a mastermind with you, a conference, and I learned from you. I'm learning from God. It's the same way. And from this show, people will watch this show and say, wow, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe, my thing is like, I want you to think, when you feel this conviction in your heart, don't act on it. Don't act like, when you're convicted, and you're convicted for a reason. Like, if the Spirit of God lives inside of you, he gives you convictions. And so if you're convicted, that means stay out of the woods. Don't walk into the woods. Stay away from the woods. And if you don't have someone like me or you, Sean, to pull them out of the woods, they're going to go deeper into the woods. And that's hard. That's really hard to pull people out of the woods, especially when they're so deep in. And so I think number one, and I'll always say this, Sean, is we just got to get to a place where we start giving more of our time to God. I know, Sean, when we talked, for the first time way back when, I was saying, hey, start praying and start listening. A lot of people are like, oh, listening, what's that? Like, I've never done that, because people don't look at God as someone that can actually talk to us. We just think that he's just this character in the Bible, and he's just, maybe some of us believe he's the creator of the world, but at the end of the day, it's just like, I talk, you listen, you talk, I listen. And the thing is God is saying, when we pray to him, we're like, we say all these prayers, we ask God for this and that, and we pray for protection, whatever, and then we say amen, and we just go about our day, and God is sitting up there like, what? Like, can I respond? Are you going to listen to me? Can I talk to you? Can I put something in your spirit here? And we don't do that. We haven't been taught that. And I think that's the big thing, is like, God wants to speak to his children. He wants to speak to us. And so I would do your prayer time, but also do more listening. And that's just a good quality to have anyway. Speak less and listen more. I mean, if you do that in general, you're going to be blessed. But like, God wants to speak to you. And I think that is pursuing him is where you're going to get that conviction for the woods, and also that discernment of people like Absalom's in your life that are trying to come after you.
This brings up so many great follow-up topics. I know that you pray on it and you listen. I'm going to just put into your heart some questions that we should just do a whole show on.
Yeah.
You talked about the conviction part. I think that's one.
Yeah.
Like, if you're convicted, but I loved your example when you do the Julie Weiss said a better. She said mating call, and I could understand that.
Right. Yeah,
you do the mating call. Here's the thing, though, is like, that's so tempting, and you're like, but you have to be convicted. That would be one topic I think that would be really great, is when hey, I'm being called to jump the fence. I'm being called to run into the woods. I mean, I would love to see some examples of conviction, whether it's Jesus, disciples, other stories where people were like, hey, I know that looks really good, but I need some examples of how, like, we are able to just turn our back. Because listen, nature, that's what you said is the fun thing for you, is you have a fake mating call, and these dumb bucks jump the fence, and then bang, you got them, right? And so I know for us humans, that has to be just as hard. I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, we've talked a lot. I want everybody to know, like, my job here is I advocate for the people.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm the people's champ. You're Jim McMahon. I'm the people's champ. I advocate for the people. But I also know this, like you said, hey, you've got to look out for the Absaloms, but we didn't give any instruction on, hey, so what am I supposed to do? There might be people watching today that are like, yeah, I think that one. And this is what's tough because they don't have a shirt that says Absalom. I've never met anybody
Right.
in my life named Absalom.
Right.
So obviously they don't show up as Absalom.
Yeah.
So I might identify people, but I don't want to like get rid of. You said I got to distance myself or draw them near. Well, I don't want to get rid of somebody if they're not an Absalom. I look like an idiot. So, but that goes back. I think a lot of this always is discernment.
Yeah.
How do I know, you know, which way to go, when to go right or when to go left? Which you said, listen. But I think that, you know, if we look at some if we could get some stories and some instruction from you on how to be more convicted. When we know right and wrong, but then it's so hard to not jump the fence. You know, it's probably, I think some of the bucks, Grant Dennis always tells me that those deer are smart, which now I don't know. But you just said you just have some mechanism and they're jumping the fence. I don't know how smart they are, but even then, if they are smart, they probably are like, I'm not sure that's even real, and they're like, but let's go anyways, right? So I'd love to learn more about that. You killed it today, Brian.
Oh, thank you, John. No, I love that, dude. Conviction, discernment. I think we need to dive deep into both of those these upcoming weeks, because I think that is gonna, you know, that's the thing is like you put people around you. You know what I mean? Like this circle. I always tell people, you know, again, you know, closer to the cross, smaller the crowd. You know, and Jesus only had his mama there, and I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's like we're always going to have these small circles, but to get those circles, to have those circles, to where people can pull you out of the woods, where people can help you with discernment, you know, I mean, that's the thing is like, I truly believe discernment is the big kicker. I mean, I've had spiritual fathers and mentors call me and say, hey, you know, that person you're with, you need to drop that person, or that person you're with, you need to draw that person closer to you. Just because of that person's discernment. I mean, it is a gift. It is a spiritual gift that God gives people, and you grow in it. And as you grow closer to the Lord, I just think, Sean, as you grow closer to the Lord, you start receiving all these things and seeing all these things. And so I think next week, man, I say we do it. I say we give the people what they want, and we talk about some conviction and some discernment, and we just go to another level, man. But I love you, brother. You are family to me, and I love this stuff.
We got to give the people what they want. I love it. I love it. But you're the matchmaker, so you're the one that gets to call the matches, and everybody we're just waiting on the edge of our seats trying to figure out what the next show is going to be about. We have a question. Can you define discernment? What do you mean by discernment?
So discernment is one of those things where it's like, should I make this decision? Should I not make this decision? Should I? It really goes hand in hand with conviction. That's why I really want to go deep into that with both of those next week, because discernment is like, you know, should I go into the woods? Should I not go into the woods? Should I look at this website? Should I not look at this website? Should I go meet with this girl alone even though I'm married? Maybe I shouldn't do. It's discernment. It's just, or someone says, you know, you should sign a deal with this guy. Should I sign a deal with this guy? It's this spiritual gift of discernment, knowing that the right or wrong, but it goes hand in hand with discernment. It's beautiful.
Well, I love that. And in my mind, discernment is it's the gray area. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and this is why this is such a, for me, this is why this is such a great topic to talk about. Is it really bad for me to have a glass of bourbon? See, so that's gray. Right. Someone could be like, one glass? You're not going to die. Right. You're not going to become an alcoholic. And so I think, listen, for me, can I have one glass of bourbon and then go on my way? Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
But I have friends that cannot do that.
Right.
So like when they're looking at that
Yep.
glass, they're like, hey, I can't have it. I had a friend tell me that was an
Yeah.
alcoholic. Hey, have you ever half fell down a hole? You can't have just one.
That's
You
right.
either fell in the
That's
hole
right.
or you didn't. You stayed
That's right.
outside of the hole.
That's right.
That's discernment. And even you brought up some things like, hey, should I take this meeting with this female alone?
Mhm.
Listen, I'm in a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
I'm in a fantastic relationship with the lovely Lacey Book.
That's right.
That's my wife.
That's right.
But I have to. I
Mhm.
talk on the phone to females.
Yeah.
I have clients that are female. But there are people,
Mhm.
that is not a good idea. That's
That's right.
discernment.
That's right.
Because so it's impossible to say, like, so it's not saying like, should I kill another man?
Right.
Don't do that.
Right.
Everybody, don't
Right.
do that. But then this is where it's difficult. Discernment is like, should I do that? Like,
Right.
am I in trouble? Is this
Right.
going to bring havoc in my life? Is this going to
Right.
bring comfort because I'm doing a
Right.
business deal? Or is this going to wreck my marriage?
Yes.
Right. And so these are all these difficult decisions.
Yes.
And man, this I think plagues humanity, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there isn't one like right or wrong
Mhm.
answer. And these are discussions, Brian, too, that I think like when we created the show, I was excited to have these conversations because I want people to get riled up,
Yeah.
right? Because I want people to be like, hey, hey, what if we're in
Yeah.
Vegas? Like, you want to play $100 on blackjack?
Right.
Well, if it's your last $100, bad idea.
Right.
If you and I want to play $100, I don't know.
Right.
That's a theological discussion.
Yeah,
Is this okay?
Yeah.
And that's discernment.
Right.
That's what the discernment is.
Right.
But if you play $100 and you lose the $100 and you're like, Sean, I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get $1,000 out. And you lose 1,000, you're like, Sean, let me get 10,000 out. Now we're in a bad spot.
That's right.
That was not a good. The $100 was your wood.
That's right.
Now I might have spent the $100 and been like, hey, I had a lot of fun and got up off the table, went to my room and went to sleep.
Right.
And I paid $100 for entertainment, and nothing bad happened to me, and something bad happened to you next to me.
Right.
That's why we need discernment, to me, because
That's
I'm
right.
like, hey, it's different for everybody.
That's right. And then it pulls you into the woods. So those people, it will pull you into the woods when we should have stayed out. It's just like I love a glass of wine. I love 2 glasses of wine. I love red wine. I'm not a big bourbon guy or liquor guy. It's the past. It got me crazy, and I'd go streaking, down to the quads, but now I'm a wine guy. And the thing is like, here's the thing though. For me personally, I would never, if I knew that I had a brother that was with me in the circle that had a drinking issue, I wouldn't drink, just out of respect for him. I just wouldn't. And because I know that would pull him into the woods, and I don't want him in the woods. And so that's another thing. And the same way with gambling. It's like, I'm not going to go gambling with somebody that's addicted to gambling. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, to drop $100 is to drop $100. But if you go home and you join online and then you're playing and you're spending all your money, you got a problem. You're in the woods. Yes. And so, yeah, man.
That to me is discernment.
You're a preacher, Sean. You are a preacher in your second life.
Or am I not in the woods? Well, I told you that the other day. This is just a season, right? And I don't know. Was that you who said that you can have different callings at different times in your life?
I mean, different seasons in your life. Yeah. I mean, I've been in different seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. Like, for me, I love doing this show. I'm not in the season of my calling to be a pastor yet, although I don't know, sounds like it'd kind of be fun. Yeah. Y'all make a lot of money, and that's something that I like. So
maybe Stephen Furtick or Bishop Jakes. I did not make a lot of money doing the church, but maybe them, but not me.
That's so awesome. Hey, Brian, I want to thank you on behalf of everybody for joining us every week. Super awesome that you show up for us here. We all appreciate you. I can't wait to dive deeper next week into conviction and discernment. Hey, guys, if you're watching the show, make sure you tell some friends about the show. Somebody, just tell them it's a show for entrepreneurs and business owners. Yeah. And then they get dipped into some of these great stories and lessons that Pastor Brian brings to us every week. And I got to say, too, one of the things I'm super proud of, this show is not a show where there's right or wrong. I hope that regardless of what you believe, that you learn something every single week. I mean, in this week, hey, you got to take a look around and make sure that you are mindful of the Absaloms
Mm.
and that you stay out of the woods. And it doesn't matter if you're like, I don't believe in Jesus. Okay, well, stay out of the woods,
Exactly.
because all that stuff that's going on in the woods is bad,
Yeah.
regardless.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in there, and hopefully we're helping to provide you that value. Thanks so much, Brian. You know what I need for next week too? So I do this show with Major Ed on Wednesdays. And so at the end, I'm like, Major Ed, you know what to do. And he goes, hoorah. So you got to have like a sign off thing. You got to think about it for next week, like the thing that you do that signals to the people that's it. That's the wrap.
I like that, Sean. I like that. You got it.
All right.
Love you, brother.
All right, everybody. We'll be back again next week with another program with Pastor Brian Hall. Put it in your calendars. That's the only way that you can absolutely be sure that it gets done. Just like Brian wants you to put your Bible reading time and your prayer time and your listening back time, make sure you put your program time. Elevate your game every Tuesday, 10 a.m. See you next week.